All right, welcome back, guys. I hope that you had a great holiday, whatever you celebrate, whether it be Christmas or Hanukkah. I'm filming this or recording this on the 29th of December, so I'm also going to wish you Happy New Year. And yeah, I hope you had a kick-ass Q4. I hope that you have an amazing 2023. Now, in today's podcast video, and you may hear me breathing heavily right now. It's because my son's downstairs. He's got a friend over, and I've tried to find something that will keep them occupied for about 20 minutes so that you won't hear yelling in the background. Anyway, so today I'm going to talk about buyer purchase decisions and what stands behind a buyer purchasing decision and how I think it may have an impact, like how that may be impacted in 2023. So behind every single product, obviously, there is a buyer, and a buyer has different needs and different goals. And there are different types of products that are dependent on different types of buyer purchasing decisions. I categorize it into 4 different types of products: review-dependent products, price-dependent products, design-dependent products, and functionality-dependent products. So first, I'm going to explain what in my experience, what I think each of those are and what an example may look like. And then I'm going to talk about how I think that may change in 2023. So review-dependent products are obviously self-explanatory products that the purchasing decision is highly dependent on reviews. So an example of a review-dependent product could be supplements, pacifiers, baby cots, anti-wrinkle cream, anything actually that touches the skin, anything that goes inside of a person's mouth. Electronics as well, etc. Those are usually products that are highly review dependent, and the buyer decision depends on the amount of reviews and the type of rating that you have. And then we have price dependent products, which obviously what that means are products where the buying decision is highly relevant to how much the product costs, what's the price of the product. Usually price dependent products, not always, but often there may be a lot of competition and everyone may be very similar priced, and it's just a price war. And there's a lot of options for the buyers, and the decision is, who's cheaper or who's more expensive. So for example, if you sell a type of chef knife, right, you can also, there's also the types of buyer avatars that are, they think, there's perceived value if a product costs $200, a knife costs $200, and all the rest costs $60 or $30, then there's always those types of buyers. Well, they'll buy the more expensive one because they think it's better, where at the end of the day, it could be the same as all the other knives. And it's just very smart, strategic pricing and branding and positioning of a product. So price dependent products, they, things like garlic press, simple day-to-day type of products, pens and things like that. They're very, very price dependent products, and the decision is more focused on that. So review and price dependent products are 95% of the time products that I want to stay away from in 2023, also 2019, 20, 21, 22, but definitely coming into 2023. Personally, if I can't bring some sort of design change to a product, I usually won't get into it nowadays. So I personally stay away from review dependent, price dependent products. I will say that I have beauty brands which are highly review dependent products, but I got in at the right time in 2016, and therefore I can get away with it. But I don't know if I would have been able to get away with it if I would have started it today, being honest. I probably wouldn't have gotten into those specific niches today in 2023, or I would have done it very, very differently. So review dependent, like I said, highly dependent on reviews, price dependent, highly dependent on the price. And then we have design dependent products. Design dependent products are products where the buying decision is highly, impacted by the way the product looks, because they appeal to a very specific type of buyer avatar, right? And the aesthetic of the product, or the way the product looks, or the design, obviously same thing, is what they really care about, and why that product, they'd be willing to buy that product, even if it's more expensive and even if it doesn't have any reviews, because of the way that the design looks. So an example could be, there's, let's just say, hundreds and hundreds and probably thousands of coffee mugs on Amazon. And, and then I could come in with a coffee mug that's very specifically targeted at gamers. And the coffee mug design looks like a PlayStation controller, for example. So it's a design change that would require some sort of mold. It's a design change that's a little bit more complicated. It's a design change that also makes the product, have like an odd type of shape. Not necessarily would everyone, copy that type of product, but that the buying decision, if you were to close your eyes for a second and imagine the search page for something like gift for gamers, or, or things like that, and suddenly you see that type of mug, you don't say to yourself, it's just a coffee mug. Now there's a twist to the product. And even if that product is 50% more expensive than normal coffee mugs, that's a product that people would be willing to pay more for because of the design, the way that the product looks. It's focusing on a very specific group of buyers, or it's appealing to a very specific type of buyer. So those are design dependent products. And those are the types of products that I would say for the last at least 2 years, I've developed many design dependent products. You guys also know, I work with also a lot of different clients beyond my own products. And we've bought some really awesome stuff that I wish I could share here, but I can't. But 99, I would say, % of the products are highly design differentiated and very niche specific or buyer avatar specific, which means that we're focusing on very specific keywords, very specific types of buyers. And those are the types of products that they start selling well from day one, because they're not dependent on the reviews. They're not dependent on the price, because of the types of designs that we're focusing on. And then there's functionality dependent products. I would, with all honesty, say that I have a little bit less, not experience, because I have developed products that are highly, dependent on functionality. But what I mean is so first of all, let's explain. Functionality dependent products are products where the buying decision is very dependent on the functionality of the product. Okay. So let's just say if you're looking for a smartphone, then you could, prioritize the features that you want from the product by like battery life and high resolution cameras and things like that, right? That would be functionality dependent, where even if the product is more expensive, or even if it looks like last year's version of the phone, but this year's functionality is better, you'd be willing to pay more money, and your buying decision is dependent on the functionality. Okay, that's functionality dependent products. I'm not saying that you can't do functionality dependent products on Amazon. I will just say that a lot of the time they require a lot of education. It's very dependent on what the product is. And the minute that a product requires a lot of education and you can't really show your differentiation from the search page, you need to actually get that click in the first place to be able to convert. And if you can't show the functionality in the search page, sometimes that can be complicating. Sometimes it can complicate a launch of a product, is what I meant to say. And of course, it depends, because if you're selling a phone, then, people know that they're not going to see the functionality from the search page. But if you're selling a type of exercise product where I have to click on you in order to see the functionality differentiation in your product, you are now depending on me to click on you, which in order to educate me on the product, which again can be problematic. So in my opinion and experience, on a long-term basis, design dependent products are the types of products that I would always prefer to get into. Now, coming into 2023, taking into consideration that we are, in the beginning of a recession, and it's probably not going to get better in the next 2 years or so, I have seen a change, right? And I'm careful with the way that I say this because it's so dependent on the product. But I have seen a change in the way that buyers are making their purchasing decisions today, where a product that may be highly, highly differentiated and design dependent, and a product that has been able to get away with 20% more expensive or 30% more expensive than usual, suddenly their sales could be impacted, because if that niche or market used to be highly design dependent, purchase decision, suddenly it's become a mixture of it's design dependent and price dependent. So moral of the story is, I think coming into 2023, there will still be, people will always still be willing to pay for products that target them specifically. Okay, so for example, if you're going to make a gift box and the gift box is going to focus specifically on a retired man, and you've put a twist to the design of that product, people are always going to be willing to pay for that. But if 6 months ago, 9 months ago, a year ago, you could get away with asking for that gift box, let's just say $60, $59.97, you may see that people will no longer be willing to pay that price and will prefer to pay, will be willing to pay $49 or something like that. Don't know if that was the best example. I'm doing my best to think of examples without giving away, products here. But what I'm saying is, I have been seeing because I have my footprints in so many different design and highly differentiated products. I have been seeing recently a change in the way the market's going, where suddenly if you could get away with much higher prices, suddenly you can't, or not as much, I should say, not as much. So coming into 2023, you need to take into consideration, when you're sourcing new products, and developing new products, you need to also take into consideration, what does the buyer's purchasing decision look like? And take into consideration that you always needed to do this, but even more now, when coming into bringing a product into a recession right now, maybe you already are selling, I'm going to use gift boxes as an example. Maybe you already have, a gift box brand, and you could get away with $69, $59, $79 boxes, but may not be able to get away with that in the near future. Or maybe you need to make a slight change to, the next 3 boxes, let's just say, that you launch, and attempt to launch them at a lower price. Let's just say $39, $49, which would mean that you would possibly make a change to, the types of products you put in there. You could have really amazing branding, but change something within the box that makes it, a little bit cheaper for you to source. So there will be, in my opinion, you will see a change in the way that buyers are making their purchasing decisions, and we will all need to adapt to that. But it is important for you to understand what stands behind the buyers that buy your products, what stands behind their purchasing decisions. Are you in a niche where it's extremely review dependent? Are you in a niche where it's extremely price dependent? Are you in a niche where you're so highly differentiated that everyone else, looks a certain way and yours really, really stands out? And, you're in a design dependent, you've got a very design dependent product, and people are willing to pay a lot more for it. But there is a recession just around the corner. We're already inside of it. And do you need to then, make adjustments to the product? So that is what I wanted to speak about when it comes to buyer purchasing decisions. I will obviously say that there are products where there are a combination of all of the above. Okay, there are products where the design still, like, I'm going to use, it's not a good Amazon example, but I'm going to use cars as an example, right? So a car would be both design dependent, both functionally dependent, and also price dependent. So there's people that would buy a car because of the way that it looks, but also the way that it functions is extremely important to them, but also the price is highly relevant to the way that they make their buying decisions. And there's plenty of other products that I could use as an example on an Amazon level, but currently all the ones that come to my mind are things that I can't share. So I hope that this helped you in some way. The moral of the story is to understand what stands behind the purchase decisions of your buyers, and to really dig deep into your market, and go back and do, again, a market analysis and a competitor analysis, and understand whether the purchase decisions within your niche are prone to change. And if so, start making adjustments to it. So, you could always have, let's just say, if you have a design dependent product, and let's just say that you sell a type of product that is very, very design dependent. It's made out of a certain type of, let's just say, stainless steel. And because it's made out of that type of stainless steel, you are able to, you source that product for a lot more expensive than the competitors, but you've been able to get away with it up to today because no one else looks like your product, because you have, a highly design differentiation. But you're also 35% more expensive than everyone else, right? And I'm giving you an actual example of something that's happened recently. So you may go back and have a look. Okay, so I've got this really, really high quality stainless steel, but if I was to change the quality of the stainless steel to below what I'm selling now, but it's actually not going to impact the functionality of the product, and technically they won't even know, and it's not going to have any negative impact on the product, but I can source the product for 20% less than what I'm sourcing it now. Maybe you need to prepare for that and be able to make that change, because maybe your product won't be, the demand for it may change with your really high pricing. So the moral of the story is for you to be able to understand what stands behind that buying decision, so that you can then see if you can make any adjustments if need be, and obviously take all this stuff into consideration when you're sourcing new products. All right. I hope this helped. And obviously, if anyone wants to reach out to me, you can find me on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, Sharon Evan. You can also go to my website, SharonEvan.com. I'm really, really excited for 2023. I'm working on some really awesome projects. And when I say that I'm working on projects, like, they're products. I'm not working on other stuff. I'm working on really awesome projects to do with really awesome products. And I'm really excited. And yeah. All right. Happy New Year, guys. I hope you have an amazing New Year, and I will see you all next week.